All right, so in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to create a new file, type out your name, and save your file. It's going to be really important in every assignment that you do on how to properly save your files. All right, so we're going to go ahead and begin in Illustrator. I'm going to go ahead and open a new file. So I can click here, I can go to File, New, or I can come over here to one of the presets. Any way you choose, it's going to bring you to this dialog box, and then I'm going to go ahead and name my assignment. So this first one is going to be called Practice. So you're going to name it your first name _ practice. And it's very important that you change your dimensions. If you can figure out the pixel size, that's great. However, there is an inches option that I always suggest my students use, because if it's too small, your document will be very small when you submit it, and we won't be able to see anything, and it'll be unusable. You'll have to go in and edit it, and it's just a pain. So go ahead and start with inches. So drop down this arrow, click on inches, and we're just going to make, for this one, an 8.5 by 11 inch document. So your width will be 8.5 inches and your height will be 11 inches. Everything else is going to be defaulted to whatever it's set for right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit create. This will create your first document. Sometimes you get a pop-up, and that's okay, so I'm just going to close that out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use my type tool. So this is your, this area, this whole area here is called your workspace, and this white section is called your artboard. The artboard is where your artwork is going to go. The workspace is where you can put additional items if you want to add them on later. So say I wanted to use this rectangle for something later on, I could leave it off to the side and then drag it onto my artboard later. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the text tool, which is located right here. And when I do that, I need to make sure that my option bar is on. So if you don't see this bar right here, you're going to go to Window, and you're going to go to Control, and make sure that there is a check mark. If there's not, it's going to look like this. So you go to Window to turn that on, and go to Control. That's going to be really important that it's on every single time that you log into Illustrator. Those tools are going to be very important to your design. You've got your color selection up here, and depending on what tool you use is going to be what tools are available up here in the control bar. Something else that you want to have on is your toolbar. You want to make sure that it's set to advanced and not basic. If it's basic, it looks like this, and you don't have all of the necessary tools that you're going to need. So you can go ahead and go to Window and then click on Toolbars and click on Advanced, and now you have some more advanced tools. With these panels, you can drag them around your artboard and place them where you need them. If you have things that are open that you don't need to see, you can go ahead and click on the X in the corner and hide them. It does not get rid of them forever. If you need to reopen them later on, all you have to do is go to the Window panel and then locate the panel that you're looking for and click on whatever it is. I'm going to open my Layers panel, and there's my layers right there. And it came with some other things that were already attached, and that's okay because I do need those. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on my type tool again if you haven't already, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to change the color, because right now it's set to white, and if I start just kidding, it defaults to black. Before it would stay white. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one time on my artboard. I'm going to go ahead and type out my name, and then I'm going to double click to highlight my name with the cursor, and I'm going to change my text in the text bar right here under character. Again, if you don't see the character, then your option or your control bar is not open, and you need to go to Window and then Control. And then I'm just going to choose one font, something maybe that matches your personality, something that represents you. And I'm going to go ahead and increase the size, so you can either use a drop down arrow and click on 72 points. That's the biggest in the drop down area. 72 points is equivalent to 1 inch, so keep that in mind when you are designing things. 1 inch is equivalent to 72 points in Illustrator. I can also type in a number, so if I needed it to be bigger, I could type in 150 and it'll make it larger. Another way I can make my text larger is by clicking on the selection tool, and when I have the blue bounding box here, I can go ahead and hold the shift key and stretch it, pull from the corners, and that will allow me to make my text larger. Okay, we'll get more into text in a couple weeks, but now I'm going to go ahead and show you my layer panel. So if I open my layer panel right here, and if you don't have your layer panel open, you can go to Window and click on Layers. So layers is kind of like your file organization in Illustrator. It looks like I only have one layer, but if I drop down this arrow right here, now I have two. So I do really only have one, but if I were to add something else on here, like a box, let's go ahead and change the color. So if I were to add a box, so I'm going to click and drag. Now I have two. I have two layers. So they're nestled within that sublayer. You can arrange your layers up and down, no matter how many layers you have. So if I wanted to put, my name on top of this, I would drag it on top of that red rectangle that I created. Okay, so for this assignment, what you are required to do is type out your name, create a file, type out your name, and save the file as an Illustrator file and a JPEG file. So I'm going to go ahead and save my Illustrator file. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. And if this is the first time you've opened Illustrator, you might get another black pop-up box that asks you where you want to save it, either to your desktop or to your Creative Cloud. You're going to choose your desktop, and you can choose, there should be a button on the left-hand side of that black pop-up box that asks you not to show this box again. Go ahead and click that box and then choose Save to My Computer. I think it is, not desktop. So Save to My Computer. And then it'll bring this pop-up box up. You're then going to click on where it says This PC right here. And in the center, you're going to scroll down and you're going to look for your name under Network Locations. This is going to be your student U drive. This is where all of your work is going to be saved. It's very important that you always save your work in this U drive. Okay, I'm going to be doing digital folder checks, and I'm going to ask you to open up your student U drive so I can see where your work is at, and it better be in here. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and double click on that. And I have a lot of files in mine already. So you guys, if this is the first time you're saving in your student U drive, you're going to have nothing. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder. So I'm going to click New Folder. And I'm going to just name this Practice. I already have a couple practice folders in here, so it may tell me that I already have that name. So I'm going to just hit yes. You should not get that pop-up if you don't have anything. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and double click that folder and open it up. So now you can see up here it says This PC in my student U drive in the practice folder. I'm going to go ahead and look at my file name, make sure it's my first name underscore the name of the assignment, which is practice. And I'm going to save my file type as an Adobe Illustrator file or an AI file, which is located right here. And I'm just going to hit save. I'm going to get this pop-up box. We're going to leave everything set to default, and I'm going to hit OK. And now it's saved as a native Illustrator file. So if I needed to come back and modify this file, change something, edit it, rework it, work on it again, I could open up that Illustrator file. So before the bell rings every day, I'll give you guys like a 4 or 5 minute warning to let you know, hey, okay, save your files. As you know, if you're not ready to turn it in, save your Illustrator file. That is how you save it. The next way is how you are going to turn it in to Google Classroom. So I'm going to go to File, Export, and then Export As. And if you just put it in that Student U Drive practice folder, it should be the default folder that opens. So This PC, my Student U Drive, and then Practice. This is one that I've already saved, so it's already obviously there. So my file name is still my name underscore practice. And when you first save your files, it's going to be this defaulted one, DXF. We are going to change that. Very important that you drop down this menu and look for JPEG. Some other ways that we will save your files in Illustrator are PNG and SVG. Okay, but for this one, we're going to save it as a JPEG. So go ahead and click on JPEG. So yours should look just like this. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and hit export. And on this JPEG options box, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my resolution here in the center is set to 300. I believe the default is 72. We want to make sure that our picture is nice and clear, so I'm going to go ahead and set it to high, 300 dpi, and hit OK. And now it's ready to turn into Google Classroom. Now you can go to Google Classroom and you can turn in your work. So I'm going to pause it and open up my Google Classroom so you can see what that looks like. Okay, so when I'm logged into Google Classroom and I go to the new assignment, I'm going to go, let's see, where is that assignment that I posted? Saving your files. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Add or Create, and then go to File. You guys are used to finding your files in Google Drive. You are going to find it from your computer. So you're going to go to Browse, and you're going to locate this PC again, and then locate your Student U Drive. Double click, open it up, and then you're going to find the folder where your practice work is located. So you're going to double click and open it up. And then I'm going to hold the control button on the keyboard and click on the ones I want to add. I'm going to add my Illustrator file and my JPEG file, so both of those files. So when you hold control, it allows you to select more than one item at a time. And I'm going to hit open, and it's going to upload those files to Google Classroom. Now you might see that this one says, the Illustrator file says PostScript. That is okay. It's not a big deal. I think this is actually the wrong practice file for me, but you should only have one. So I have a PostScript Illustrator file and my JPEG image, and then you just hit turn in, and that is how you submit your work from Adobe Illustrator to Google Classroom.